General Hospital spoilers reveal that the emotional roller coaster between Chase and Willow has been building up for weeks, and as time passes, the tension between them is growing increasingly undeniable. Chase, who has always been calm, calculated, and composed, is beginning to show sides of himself that were previously hidden beneath his stoic exterior. His desire to be a father, something he has long kept buried, is now at the forefront of his mind. It's not just a passing thought, it's a consuming desire that is beginning to dictate every decision he makes. His obsession with starting a family, with becoming a father and experiencing the joy and responsibility of raising a child, has begun to shape his actions in a way that is both startling and concerning. This newfound drive is not only changing how Chase interacts with Willow, but it's also shifting the dynamics of his relationship with Brook Lynn. Chase has always been a man of strong convictions, and his desire to be a father has become an obsession that he can no longer ignore. It's not just a passing fantasy, it's a deep yearning, one that is pushing him to consider drastic measures in order to make his dream a reality. As the days pass, his desire to adopt, to raise a child, and to build a future with someone who shares this dream grows stronger, and it's becoming clear that he is no longer willing to wait for life to unfold on its own. For Willow, this intensity is both exhilarating and terrifying. She has always shared a deep connection with Chase, but she has also been cautious, unsure whether she could fully embrace a future together. Her own emotional baggage, her struggles with her past and her role in this dangerous world, have kept her at arm's length from fully committing to any relationship. But Chase's desire for a family, Willow's hesitation is rooted in a deep sense of guilt and responsibility for her past actions, but she can't deny the pull she feels toward Chase. Their connection, once built on a shared desire for stability in a world filled with chaos, is beginning to deepen into something more meaningful. The thought of becoming a mother, of building a family with Chase, is something she never expected to feel so strongly about, and yet, here she is, grappling with a desire she didn't know she had. As this bond between them grows, so does the pressure. Willow is caught in a whirlwind of emotions, her growing affection for Chase, the deepening connection they share, and the looming fear that she might not be able to provide him with the family he so desperately wants. She sees the way Chase's eyes light up when he talks about having children. It might be taken away from her once again. Chase's desire for fatherhood is not just a simple wish, it has become an obsession. Every day that passes without movement toward his goal feels like a missed opportunity, and he is starting to grow restless. The pressure to make this dream a reality is beginning to consume him in a way he never expected. His obsession with fatherhood has driven him to become more assertive, more vocal about what he wants, and more willing to take risks to achieve it. The discussions he has with Willow, once gentle and tentative, are now charged with urgency. He can no longer hide his desire for a child, a family, and a life beyond the shadows of the world they both live in. He needs to make this happen, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to make it a reality. For Brook Lynn. But it has never been something that loomed over their relationship in such a forceful way. Now, with every passing day, it seems that Chase's desire to be a father is consuming him. And Brook Lynn is left wondering where she fits into this picture. The reality is that she is not ready for children, not in the way Chase wants, not yet. She has already faced the challenges of motherhood in the past, and her emotional baggage from those experiences is still fresh. But now, with Chase pushing for more, Brook Lynn finds herself caught in a difficult position. She knows that Chase is a good man, a man who will make an excellent father, but she also knows that she is not in the same place emotionally. She is still processing her past, still coming to terms with the decisions she's made and the life she's carved out for herself. The pressure to start a family, to live up to Chase's expectations, is beginning to feel like a weight she can't bear. The more Chase talks about the future they could have together, the more she feels like she is being pushed into a corner. She wants to support him, to be the partner he deserves, but the thought of jumping into a family when she's not ready fills her with anxiety. As the tension between them grows, the question becomes, can Brook Lynn continue to live up to Chase's dreams, or will she have to choose a different path? Can she handle the pressure of being with someone who is so focused on having children? Or will it drive them apart? Chase's obsession with fatherhood has put them at odds, and Brook Lynn is finding it increasingly difficult to keep up with his growing desire to build a family. The relationship they once shared, built on trust and understanding, is now being tested by the weight of their differing priorities. Chase's fixation on fatherhood is not just a passing phase. It has become an all-consuming obsession. And as Brook Lynn grapples with her own doubts and fears, she is forced to confront the reality that their relationship may not survive this pressure. She is no longer sure if she can meet Chase's needs or if she can continue to put her own dreams aside to fulfill his. The emotional strain is taking its toll. And she is beginning to wonder if their future together is even possible. The situation has become volatile, and every conversation feels like a step closer to the breaking point. Will they be able to find common ground, or will their differences tear them apart? The growing tension between Chase and Willow, combined with Brook Lynn's increasing anxiety, is creating a perfect storm. What once seemed like a hopeful future for Chase and Brook Lynn is now teetering on the edge of collapse. And the reality is that no one is quite sure what will happen next. Will Chase's obsession with fatherhood lead him to make a decision that could change his life forever? Will Brook Lynn be able to reconcile her own feelings and fears with Chase's dreams, or will this growing divide drive them further apart? As their relationship faces its greatest challenge yet, it's clear that nothing will ever be the same again. The stakes are higher than ever, and the choices they make now will determine the course of their futures. The plot surrounding Willow and Chase is taking a dramatic turn, with the two of them now coming together in a bold alliance to fight for the guardianship of Wiley and Amelia. This partnership. As Chase and Willow begin to work together, the stakes are higher than ever. Their primary goal, to secure the future of the children, has brought them into a close. The emotional stakes for everyone involved are about to escalate in ways no one could have predicted. Especially as they unite for the sake of the children, the bond between them deepens. Chase's emotional journey has been complicated. Torn between his commitment to Brook Lynn and his undeniable connection with Willow. But as the drama unfolds, it becomes clear that Chase is facing a decision that could change everything. In a stunning twist, it seems that Chase is preparing to leave Brook Lynn to be with Willow, something that will send shockwaves through the lives of all those involved. This is no simple love triangle. It's a deeply emotional conflict, one that is tearing apart relationships and creating rifts that may never heal. Chase and Willow's growing affection for each other is undeniable, but the fallout from their actions is likely to be catastrophic. Brook Lynn, who has already been struggling with her own insecurities and fears about her place in Chase's life, will be devastated by his decision to end their marriage. The betrayal will hit her hard. Especially as she begins to realize that the man she thought she would build a future with is now turning his back on their life together. Brook Lynn has always been fiercely independent. But this turn of events is pushing her to a breaking point. The pain of losing Chase, coupled with the overwhelming sense of abandonment, is something she is struggling to process. And as the story unfolds, it's clear that this emotional turmoil will begin to consume her. The idea of losing Chase to Willow is becoming an obsession for Brook Lynn. The more she reflects on their relationship, the more she realizes just how deeply her world is being shaken. As Brook Lynn spirals further into this obsession, she begins to question everything about her relationship with him. Were their connections truly as strong as she thought? The more she obsesses over the situation, the more she feels herself becoming consumed by the fear of losing Chase for good. Brook Lynn's obsession with losing Chase is manifesting in unhealthy ways, affecting not only her relationship with him but also her interactions with those around her. She's starting to act out. Her pain is spilling over into her professional life and her personal relationships, as she isolates herself from her friends and loved ones. The emotional wreckage left by Chase's decision to leave her is beginning to take a toll, and Brook Lynn finds herself spiraling into a darker place. This obsession with reclaiming Chase is becoming all-consuming, clouding her judgment and pushing her further down a dangerous path. As Willow and Chase work together to fight for Wiley and Amelia, the tension between all three characters is palpable. The love and desire between Chase and Willow are undeniable, but the chaos they are creating in the process is impossible to ignore. Their quest to gain guardianship over the children is not just a fight for their future, it is a battle for control over their own lives and relationships. In this quest, they are pushing Brook Lynn to the edge, and she is not going to let them take everything from her without a fight. The emotional stakes of this storyline are at an all-time high. And the ripple effect of Chase's decision to divorce Brook Lynn is only just beginning to be felt. The battle for Wiley and Amelia is about to become far more personal, as Chase and Willow's growing love for each other becomes a key factor in their pursuit of the children. At the same time, Brook Lynn's obsession with reclaiming Chase, combined with her growing insecurities, is only going to lead to further emotional devastation. This love triangle is no longer just about two people fighting for the love of one man, it's about the destructive power of obsession, the pain of betrayal, and the emotional turmoil that comes with losing someone you never thought you'd lose. As these dramatic events unfold, there's no telling where the story will go next. Will Chase and Willow's relationship survive the emotional fallout from their actions? Will Brook Lynn ever be able to let go of her obsession with getting Chase back? One thing is for certain, this storyline is heading into even more dangerous territory, and the stakes are higher than ever before. The relationships that have been at the heart of this show are being tested in ways no one could have anticipated. And the consequences of these decisions will change the course of their lives forever. The drama unfolding between Chase, Willow, and Brook Lynn is quickly becoming one of the most intense and emotional storylines in Port Charles. Chase's growing desire to become a father, coupled with his deepening feelings for Willow, has set off a chain of events that is rapidly spiraling out of control. As these two characters grow closer, the emotional stakes for everyone involved are becoming overwhelming. And no one is escaping the consequences unscathed. For Brook Lynn, the revelation that Chase's affection for Willow has become more than just a passing feeling is the start of an emotional collapse. So does the pressure on Brook Lynn. She finds herself at a crossroads, unable to ignore the feelings of betrayal and abandonment that are slowly consuming her. The pain of realizing that the man she thought she would build a life with is now emotionally pulling away from her is unbearable. She is no longer just dealing with the fear of losing him. She is beginning to obsess over the thought of being replaced by someone else. This new obsession is taking a toll on Brook Lynn's mental and emotional well-being, pushing her to extremes she never thought she would go to. As Chase and Willow's connection grows stronger, Brook Lynn's inability to let go of the idea of reclaiming Chase is becoming a driving force in her life. She starts to question everything. Was her relationship with Chase ever truly real? Had she been blind to the signs that he was never fully committed to her? The insecurity and fear that grip her are only becoming more intense, and they are starting to define her every move. As the pressure builds, Brook Lynn becomes more distant, more closed off, lashing out in ways that only push Chase further away. Her obsession with the idea of reclaiming him is clouding her judgment, and she begins to lose sight of everything else in her life. Her professional commitments, friendships, and even her sense of self-worth begin to unravel. All because of her fixation on getting Chase back. In her mind, nothing else matters but the idea of keeping him in her life, of proving that she can be the one he chooses in the end. The emotional devastation caused by Chase's shifting affections for Willow is wreaking havoc on Brook Lynn's mental state. The more she dwells on the idea of losing him, the more irrational her actions become. She finds herself constantly questioning his loyalty, doubting every word he says, and feeling betrayed by the very person she once trusted. Her obsession is driving her to the edge, and it's unclear how much longer she can hold on to the illusion of control. At the same time, Willow and Chase's growing bond is becoming harder to ignore. Their connection is undeniable, and the more they work together, the closer they become. The shared goal of providing a better future for the children they care about is cementing their relationship. But their bond is about more than just the children. The emotional connection they have developed is becoming something much deeper, and it's clear that the more they spend time together, the stronger their feelings for each other grow. Chase's desire to be a father is no longer just a passing wish, it is an all-consuming need. He can feel the weight of time slipping away as he watches Willow interact with the children and sees the family they could build together. Every conversation, every moment spent with her, only deepens his desire to make this dream a reality. But as the pressure builds, so does his awareness of the consequences of his actions. He knows that by pursuing a future with Willow, he is risking the relationship he has with Brook Lynn, and that realization is beginning to weigh heavily on him. Chase is no longer sure how to navigate the complex emotions he is feeling. On one hand, he has a deep connection with Willow, someone who shares his dream of becoming a parent and who seems to understand the importance of building a family. On the other hand, he still has a history with Brook Lynn, a connection that runs deep and is difficult to let go of. This internal conflict is pushing him to make decisions that he never thought he would have to make, and the consequences of those decisions are becoming increasingly clear. As Chase wrestles with his feelings, Brook Lynn's obsession with getting him back grows more intense. She is beginning to notice the changes in him, the way he's been pulling away. And it is driving her to act in ways that are only escalating the tension between them. She starts to question whether she will ever be enough for him. The obsession with winning back Chase has become all-consuming, and it's only a matter of time before Brook Lynn's emotional collapse reaches a breaking point. The constant need for validation, pushing away anyone who tries to offer support or understanding. Her world is shrinking, and the obsession with reclaiming Chase is all that she can think about. As for Chase and Willow, the connection they share is undeniable, and as time goes on, they find themselves drawing closer together, bound by the shared goal of securing a better future for the children. But as their bond strengthens, the consequences of their growing feelings for each other become more and more apparent. They are treading a dangerous path. With Brook Lynn becoming increasingly obsessed with reclaiming Chase, it's clear that the situation is about to reach a boiling point. The emotional turmoil, the betrayals, and the intense desire for control are driving each character to the edge. The question is no longer just about whether Chase will stay with Brook Lynn or choose Willow. It's about how far each character will go to get what they want and what they're willing to sacrifice in the process. The relationships at the heart of this story are being tested like never before, and the consequences of these actions will ripple through their lives for a long time to come. The obsession with control, with love, and with family is pushing all of them to the edge, and there is no turning back now. The chaos that is unfolding is just the beginning. And it's clear that no one will emerge from this unscathed. Brook Lynn finds herself increasingly consumed by a new obsession, one that is shaping her every thought and action. What began as a simple emotional struggle over her relationship with Chase has now evolved into something far more dangerous. The shift in Chase's affections, his growing connection with Willow, and his desire to start a family with her have left Brook Lynn feeling cornered. This obsession with reclaiming Chase, with securing the future she thought was promised to her, has taken on a life of its own, and it's driving her to extremes she never imagined herself capable of. The more she dwells on the idea of losing Chase, the more consumed she becomes by the fear of being replaced. Her thoughts spiral, and she becomes fixated on the idea that if she doesn't act, she will lose him forever. This feeling of being out of control, of watching the life she thought she had built slip through her fingers, is more than she can bear. The emotional weight of this obsession is beginning to take a toll on her, and it's clear that the once independent Brook Lynn is no longer the person she once was. In her mind, pushing away the people who care about her and focusing solely on her goal, winning back Chase. This all-consuming obsession is changing the way she views herself and the world around her. Her actions, once thoughtful and measured, are now driven by desperation and the need to regain control over her life. The obsession with winning Chase back has become the central force in her existence, overriding everything else. Her behavior is becoming erratic, and it's clear that she will stop at nothing to make sure Chase chooses her. The competition for Chase's heart has now become a battle, one where Brook Lynn sees herself as the only viable option, and Willow as the obstacle standing in her way. The more she thinks about Willow's growing closeness with Chase, the more bitter her obsession becomes. In her mind, Willow is the one thing standing between her and the life she feels entitled to with Chase, and that thought is eating her alive. This new obsession is taking on a life of its own, turning Brook Lynn into someone she doesn't recognize. It's no longer just about love or desire, it's about control. She feels as though she has lost control of the situation, and in response, she is fighting to take it back. But the more she fights, the more she becomes trapped in this emotional spiral, losing herself in the process. Chase's growing affection for Willow is forcing Brook Lynn to confront her deepest insecurities, and it's clear that these insecurities are now at the heart of her obsession. The more she tries to control the situation, the more out of control she becomes. The battle for Chase's heart has now become a war within Brook Lynn's own mind. She can no longer separate her feelings for him from the need to win, and the idea of losing him is slowly consuming her every thought. As her obsession grows, Brook Lynn's relationship with Willow becomes more and more fraught. What started as a simple rivalry has now transformed into a deep-seated resentment. One that colors every interaction between the two women. Brook Lynn cannot stand the idea of Willow being the one to take Chase from her. And her fixation on this idea drives her to make increasingly reckless decisions. Every time she sees them together, it fuels the fire of her obsession, making her more determined to tear them apart. She begins to question every move Willow makes, looking for weaknesses, for cracks in the armor that she can exploit to regain Chase's affection. The line between love and obsession is becoming dangerously blurred, and it's clear that Brook Lynn is no longer operating from a place of rationality. Her emotional state becomes more erratic with each passing day. What started as a simple desire to protect her relationship with Chase has turned into an all-consuming need to possess him. To control his future. She is no longer thinking about what's best for him, for their relationship, or for herself. She's only thinking about winning. The idea of losing Chase to Willow is too much for her to bear, and this fear is driving her actions. Her obsession has become her sole focus. And it's pushing her further and further away from the person she once was. The woman who once exuded confidence and independence is now a shadow of herself. Trapped in a cycle of desperation and obsession. The new obsession that Brook Lynn is experiencing is not just about reclaiming Chase, it's about the need to control her own destiny. To make sure that nothing slips through her fingers again. The fear of being out of control, of losing the one thing she thought she could rely on, is overwhelming her. And it's not just the fear of losing Chase, it's the fear of losing herself. Her identity has become so tied to him, to their relationship, that without it, she feels as though she has nothing left. This has become the driving force behind everything she does. The more she tries to hold on, the more she feels like she's losing her grip. But she's unwilling to let go, unwilling to accept defeat. As this obsession intensifies, it's clear that Brook Lynn is heading down a dangerous path. Her actions are becoming more reckless, more unpredictable. And the consequences of her obsession are beginning to show. She's pushing people away, alienating herself from those who care about her. And making decisions that are not just damaging to her relationship with Chase, but to her own emotional well-being. The war for Chase's heart is no longer just about him, it's about her need to reclaim control, to prove that she can still have the life she envisioned, no matter the cost. But in her quest for control, Brook Lynn is slowly losing herself. She has become so consumed by the fear of losing Chase that she is losing sight of everything else that once mattered to her. The obsession with him has taken over every part of her life, and the more she clings to it, the more she risks losing everything. This obsession is a powerful force. One that is changing Brook Lynn in ways she never anticipated. It's not just the fear of losing Chase, it's the fear of losing herself in the process. As her obsession continues to grow, it's clear that she is heading into dangerous territory, and the question remains, how far will she go to win? What will she sacrifice, and who will she become in the process? The battle for Chase's heart is no longer just about love, it's about control, and the cost of that control is beginning to take a devastating toll on Brook Lynn's emotional state. The more she obsesses over losing him, the more she risks losing everything else in her life. And the question is, will she be able to find her way back from the brink? Or will this obsession consume her entirely?